What if I told you that tea was more than just a beverage, but to some people, a way of life? In this short series, we will be taking you on a journey to meet the men and women who have built their lives around this magical plant. We will sit down with each one of them and hear their story. We will learn why they got into tea, what drives them, and what they believe the future has in store. We travel all across Japan to tell the untold story of this iconic industry. We will make many new friends along the way and learn more about how to properly cultivate and prepare the drink known as tea. We will also explore the natural beauty of this wonderful country and see the different steps farmers take to coexist with nature. These farmers believe that using organic methods of farming is the best way to form a healthy relationship between their tea fields and the natural world. First, we head off to Tokyo to get a glimpse of some world-class tea rooms. We learn from certified tea masters how to prepare the perfect cup of tea. We also learn a bit about traditional sweets consumed during the tea ceremony. Next, we head to the South Island of Kyushu and really get to see a part of Japan rarely seen by tourists. We visit small family farms in the countryside and learn from farmers that have been growing tea for generations. We then take a boat ride to the island of Yakushima, a place famous for its natural beauty. We learn even more about the importance of coexisting with nature and the deep level of respect they have for the natural world. We then go out to Shizuoka and explore Japan's largest tea-producing region. We learn how tea cultivation can be not only a family-run operation, but a big business as well. We continue on our quest to find the best organic matcha, hojicha, gyokuro, and sencha in Japan. The tea farmers are some of the kindest people we have ever met. The only request they made from us is to tell their story. They want the world to know the importance of preserving nature and the level of care that goes into producing some of the world's best tea. Our journey begins in the bustling city of Tokyo. Now the largest metropolitan area in the world, Tokyo is famous for its clashing of both new and old. Here you can see centuries-old shrines and temples located merely a few blocks away from skyscrapers and bright city lights. It's also home to many amazing tea shops. We wanted to start our trip off right by first tasting some of the best teas Japan has to offer. We had heard of a really good tea house called Sakurai Tea Salon that has a fantastic selection of teas and a few certified tea masters that prepare them. During a full tasting, you can taste 5 different teas: gyokuro, hojicha, wakocha, bancha, and matcha. You are also served a variety of wagashi, or Japanese sweets, in between tea tastings. We signed up for 2 tea tastings, and for the next 2 hours we did nothing but drink tea. First on our list was the gyokuro. This is known as the highest quality green tea in Japan and used to be the tea of choice for the emperor. This tea is shaded for up to 21 days, and during that time the tea produces more chlorophyll and theanine. This yields a flavor that is very sweet and savory. The texture also becomes thicker, and typically gyokuro is enjoyed in very small amounts. The smaller the amount of gyokuro, the more the taste and the texture can be savored. Here, they took that concept to the extreme and used an extremely small amount of water for the tasting. The tea master then used an hourglass to count out 3 minutes before pouring us the tea. The tea was incredibly sweet and delicious, and although I only had an amount the size of a thimble, I made it last for many, many sips and enjoyed it throughout the next few minutes. Another benefit of using a small amount of water is that there was still plenty of flavor in the second and third steepings of this tea. For the 4th steeping, the tea master combined the leaves with pickled sakura blossom to make a beautiful cold brew. The sweet gyokuro combined beautifully with the tart sakura blossom to create a seasonal drink unlike any other. We also got to eat the leaves of the gyokuro afterwards. You can add a tiny bit of vinegar or soy sauce to the leaves of this green tea, and it ends up tasting like a delicious salad. After tasting the gyokuro, we moved on to the next tea on our list, Hojicha. Hojicha is a roasted green tea that is very popular in Japan. Today, we would get the opportunity to pick out which tea we wanted, and then the tea master would roast it right in front of us. We browsed the selection of 6 green teas from various regions throughout Japan and selected 2 we liked. The tea master then took out a special type of pan used for hand roasting hojicha. She roasted the leaves over a small flame and then poured them out into the teapot. Once the hojicha was ready, we got to drink it alongside some pickled ginger root, an excellent food pairing to this unique tea. After drinking 2 very different hojichas, we headed on to our next tea course, the wakocha. Wakocha is the Japanese word for black tea, and although this is far less common than green tea, it is still enjoyed in Japan.
So this is black tea. Very smooth. What I realized a little bit about the Japanese is there's a strong caramel note always with the black tea from Japan. Often when you like a black tea from other regions, there's much more sweetness into it. Here you often have this typical caramel note coming from the black tea.
After the black tea, we moved into our bancha tasting. Just like with the hojicha, we got to choose which tea we wanted to try from a few different options. While most teas are made from the young tea leaves, bancha is made from the older parts of the plant. Here you will often see stems and larger leaves. The one with the thickest stems is known as sonin bancha. Here we got an opportunity to try some very unique teas, although the thing we were really looking forward to was the matcha tasting at the end. Matcha is a type of green tea that is made by grinding tea leaves into a very fine powder. Only the best leaves are used to make matcha, and they also have their stems and veins removed before being ground, which only enhances their flavor even further. This is the tea that is traditionally consumed during the Japanese tea ceremony. The tea is first sifted into a bowl called a chawan, and then carefully whisked into warm water using a bamboo whisk called a chasen. The goal is to create lots of foam in the tea, which aerates the tea and makes it smoother and creamier. The tea masters have perfected this art, and the end result is a tea that tastes almost like a latte, but with no cream or sugar. Tasting all of these teas was a great way to become acquainted with the different types of teas in Japan and discuss which ones we would be searching for on our sourcing trip. With our tea tasting finished, we headed off to Yoyogi Park to enjoy the cherry blossoms. During the few short weeks when the cherry blossoms are in bloom, tourists and locals alike gather underneath these trees and enjoy time with friends. This is known as hanami, which is basically just enjoying being outside during the cherry blossom season with friends and family. The next day, we would be visiting a second tea shop for another incredible tasting. In the heart of Ginza, there exists a small tea shop by the name Higashiya. At this tea shop, certified tea masters prepare some of the finest green tea in Japan. It was here that you could really see how varied the world of Japanese tea is. Depending on the shape of the leaves, the shading of the leaves, and the part of the plant used to make tea, it can take on a vast array of different forms. Here you can see that no 2 teas are really the same. We decided we wanted to try 3 entirely new teas, so we first started with Karigane. This is a shaded stem tea made from the leaves and stems of tencha or gyokuro, the 2 most prized green teas in Japan. The tea usually has a delicate sweetness to it, made more mild by the inclusion of the stems. Next we tried Fukumushicha, a deep steamed sencha. Normally, Japanese green tea is steamed for about 45 to 90 seconds after being harvested. The Fukumushicha is steamed for 90 to 120 seconds. This longer steaming removes some of the bitter components of the tea, rendering it sweeter and smoother. The color also becomes a very vibrant green. Finally, we tried our personal favorite, the Kabusecha. This is a high-quality shaded sencha, and it was the sweetest tea they had.
So this tea here has a really sweet, strong floral note. That's what he said us when he served the tea. It's really that's the most sweet tea they have. What's interesting in comparison, for example, to Kyokuro, where you have a lot of this savory note, here you have a light, small, fine astringency, so a delicate astringency, you might say, which is developing a little bit in the mouth, but it's so strong in the floral note, which is quite impressive.
Towards the end of the tasting, we got to enjoy some new wagashi that was very different from what we had at Sakurai. After the tea tasting, we decided to enjoy our last few hours in Tokyo. Soon, we would be embarking on a journey through the south of Japan to visit small organic farmers in the countryside. Although it would be sad to leave this wonderful city behind, we knew we had the adventure of a lifetime waiting for us.